what's up with it? You watching that Big Bomber TV. And yeah, we about to check out this clip from the YouTube channel Hood War Stories, you know what I'm saying? And the title is He Took Out All Piru'S at Death Row. The story of George Williams, you know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't never heard of George Williams ever, you know what I'm saying? I ain't know it was a person that took out the Piru'S at Death Row, you know what I'm saying? But shit, if he took out all the Piru'S at Death Row, he gotta be a fool with it, you know what I'm saying? Shit, let's check out the story and see what they talking about.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of George Williams. George, also known as G or Ponytail, was born in the year 1965 and is a member of the Looters Park Piru gang, which is considered the mother gang of Piru gangs on the east side of Compton. In the early 70s, when George was 7, several sets of Crips began to claim neighborhoods in Compton. In 1972, a few teenagers formed their own gang as protection against the Crips. Originally called the Piru Street Gang Boys, they were created to directly combat the Crips. At the end of the 70s, the violent crime rate in Compton had skyrocketed. George was in his mid-teenage years. He was a smart student, but at this point he became engulfed in his surroundings. His environment and the people he was raised with molded him to become progressively more ruthless as the years went on. By the late 80s, George had developed into a hardcore gang member, and his name rang bells of fear through Compton. Suge Knight had grown up north of Alondra Boulevard and west of Wilmington. This is a patch claimed by Looters Park Piru. Although he never joined as a teenager, Suge had deep connections with his gang. As Death Row's fortune proceeded to skyrocket, Suge's label had no problem finding talent. Every hip-hop artist on the West Coast wanted in. Suge created a family environment underlined by a constant threat of violence. And that violence was enforced by the killers Suge surrounded himself with. Around 1993, Suge began assembling a hit squad, which was mainly composed of heavy hitters from the Looters and Mob Piru gang. He personally selected George Williams, and through George, he met Poochie and added them onto his roster. In the meanwhile, Suge used about $200,000 in cash to buy drugs and guns for Looters and Mob Piru. This is what got Mob Piru started in drug dealing and gun running. Suge surrounded himself with his goon squad at almost every social occasion, as well as being almost residents at his Can-Am Studios. The Can-Am Studios, situated on Oxnard Avenue in Tarzana, became Death Row's main place of business. It's situated in the mainly Mexican and middle-class white inhabited area in the San Fernando Valley. Suge liked the anonymity the location provided.
I ain't gonna lie, this kind of makes sense why the feds was like on death row, you know what I'm saying? Like they was coming for him probably because he was putting drugs and guns on the streets, you know what I'm saying? I guess, I don't know.
The building of the Can-Am Studios is greeted by a lobby with metal detectors and guards. Security personnel list consisted of hardcore blood gang members who were allowed guns and drugs inside the studio. This location will be the scene of many shakedowns, beatdowns, and other acts of violence. George was always present.
I ain't gonna lie, that's a big disadvantage, you know what I'm saying? Like you coming in, you getting searched for your guns, they telling you can't bring your guns in, but then this dude's in there with guns, so yeah, that was kinda
the studio to be the main one applying the reinforcement. He was the most feared, and at the top of the list when it came to danger. Suge would pay George to carry out hits. Over the years, George noticed clear favoritism towards Poochie, as Poochie received houses and more expensive gifts for the murders he committed, while George felt he was getting crumbs in the short end of the stick. This led to built-up animosity, which boiled over into an argument between Suge and George. Some say George was stealing money from Suge, and when Suge found out, he fired him and demanded that George return the gifts and cars he had given him over the years. Other people close to George say he was set up and made to be the fall guy. Whichever theory is true, George refused to return any of the gifts. He felt he had earned them for all the dirt he had done for Suge throughout the years. Suge was heated when he found out George wasn't going to give back the car. Some say Suge had a fear of George, so he felt it was best to get George out of the way. But
I ain't gonna lie, I wouldn't have gave them niggas shit back either, to be honest with you know what I'm saying? So if he took out all the Piru'S, it makes sense why, you know what I'm saying? Shit, I would have been ready to take some niggas out too playing with me like that. After a nigga that did so much shit, you know what I'm saying?
But it would end up backfiring in the worst way. Suge then allegedly put a hit out on George. Then one day, Suge had his goons lure George to a secret location, where they gave him a severe beatdown. They tortured him, and Heron wound up shooting George in the ass. They were about to kill him, but somehow George got away. George went into hiding right after, but started recruiting other Piru members to fight against Suge and his crew, mainly included members from Fruittown and Looters Park. George retaliated by having one of Suge's closest soldiers, Heron, killed. He quarterbacked Heron's assassination by having his girl Woolsey, who was dressed as a man that day, and Roderick bounced out on Heron while he was blocked in traffic and light up the car 27 times with 2 AKs. Heron was dead on sight. Before he was killed, Heron knew George was coming for him. Heron was hiding in the bushes trying to get to him first, but George was 2 steps ahead. Heron's murder was a clear message from George to Suge that the war was on. George had switched sides against Suge and became an execution agent of Roderick Reed, also known as Lil Rod from Fruittown, Piru. Lil Rod had evolved into a powerful PCP agent across the country. Around that time after he linked up with George, he had a large amount of drugs stolen. The robbery included a friend of Poochie named William. So on August 4th, 2000, Poochie and William were sitting in a van on a dead-end street in Compton, when just after midnight, 2 men run up, open fire and flee. William died an hour later, and Poochie was seriously injured. It's strongly believed that George is one of the alleged shooters. 3 weeks later, Lil Rod's friend Vince was subsequently kidnapped, tortured, murdered, and found near a Compton graveyard. There was a videotape of Vince's execution. Buntry, who was Suge's best friend, and Dudley were rumored to have played the videotape of the execution in front of a group of friends at Buntry's house. This infuriated George. Nearly a year later, Dudley was shot and killed in a hail of bullets in front of Buntry's home. George is alleged to be the trigger man.
God damn. Suge turned on the wrong nigga, man. For real. God, he was wiping shit out. That boy wasn't no joke.
Months later, on April 3rd, 2002, Buntry pulled up to a gas station and fell up. He was about to start pumping gas when 2 men walked up and drew their pistols. Buntry was shot 4 times, and he died shortly after. The assailants fled in a pickup truck drove by a man in a ponytail. Police released sketches of the 2 suspects based on witness descriptions. It's widely believed the man behind the shooting is allegedly George Ponytail Williams himself. Fast forward to October 16th, 2002.
Man, who the fuck they had drawing those sketches? Nigga, a cartoonist? Man, that shit looked like some fucking on the fucking beach type shit and somebody drawing or something. You know what I'm saying? Damn.
Hendog, who was a longtime friend of Suge and also designed the Death Row logo, was shot dead near a fried chicken stand in South Central. In 2005, George and Lil Rod were convicted in manufacturing and distributing PCP and conspiracy to distribute the drugs. Drug agents who raided their operation in 2003 recovered 175 kilograms of the drugs. 50 weapons and $175,000 in cash were also confiscated during the raid. Lil Rod and George were flooding the market in South Central and Compton. They utilized the Inland Empire for its remote, hard-to-detect areas, which were ideal for manufacturing PCP. In 2021, George was released from prison. Currently, he's out on parole and keeping a low profile.
Damn, nigga still alive? Damn. Man, that boy's a straight fool with it for real, man. Suge played with the wrong nigga, you feel me? Man, and the nigga's still alive. That nigga's a savage for real, but he was back against the wall though, you know what I'm saying? So shit, he probably ain't even want to do the shit, but the shit probably turned out to be, turned into a necessary thing, you know what I'm saying? Shit, if niggas coming for you, you gotta get them before they get you, you know what I'm saying? And shit, you really can't sleep, nigga, if you got like hella enemies, you know what I'm saying? So shit, a peace of mind, shit. It looked like he was trying to fight for a peace of mind, man, you know what I'm saying? But man, that was hell of a story right here, man, for real though, shit. Let me know what y'all think of this in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to the Bang Bomber TV. Until next time, peace.